I'm back with Alan Orr and with Darren Porcher. Darren, help me out here, because one of the reasons that scene in Minneapolis looked as chaotic as it did yesterday, and we'll run some of it so that we can see what we're talking about, is because this isn't actually ICE's job, nor does anybody in America want it to be ICE's job, right? There are valid criticisms of police around this country and how they handle things, but generally they try and learn from the last thing that they did and say, here's how we get a handle on situations. Immigration enforcement is not a criminal activity. It's not the same thing. If you're looking for people who have overstayed their visas or are here illegally, that's not a thing that you need these guns and pepper spray and pepper pellets and tear gas for.
When we looked at Trump's messaging when he was running for president, he introduced the theory of we want to remove the worst of the worst from these communities because we want to make America safe. That message has diametrically switched, and we now have people that are taken into custody, whether they're children or people for instances of obstructed governmental administration, but it has fallen far from the theory of we're going to bring out the worst of the worst. And so when you put out a messaging of that and then you do something that's the opposite, it now creates an uproar in these communities. All communities want to be safe. If I told you that there was a homicidal maniac that was living next door to you, you want that person removed. The same holds true with anyone else in these communities. But the mission for ICE has gone on a different calculus, and as it relates to that, the community is now saying, hey, look, you're making us more fearful of ICE than being protected from these violent criminals that you initially said that you were going to come in and rescue us from. And so now it goes into the police in that community in a really tough situation, because initially they didn't want to work with ICE, but now they're posed to have to working with them as it relates to the unrest that's been created by the ICE agents. The ICE agents left after they shot this person, and now it's the local and state police that are trying to hold the fort, and it's a troublesome narrative, to say the least.
Not even clear, Alan, that they preserved the evidence. They left, and I mean, what a remarkable thing that the Hennepin County attorney has to sue to have the federal government preserve all the evidence. Like, this is even, I mean, you know, the only law I know is from Law and Order. This doesn't even happen on Law and Order.
It does not. That's correct. And you have to ask yourself why. And there are a couple of reasons that sort of factor into the why. The first why would be, since the government generally would not send troops into United States citizenry and civilians to control people, then what would be the avenue? And immigration has been that avenue to get these soldiers on the streets of cities that they want to over-police and sort of bring under the control and diminish the rights of the citizens there. I'm not even calling them protesters, they are citizens. The second thing is to look at the money, follow the trails. Right now, detention facilities have 70,000 some individuals in them when they're meant to hold around 60,000. They're overcrowded. The administration has fired judges. The administration has moved with this new funding to build more detention facilities. If you're looking to remove individuals, why are you building more prisons? It is a financial benefit to someone to detain and house these individuals and not to process them because you're not adding judges to the system. This is not chaos that happened. This is manufactured. This is structural.
Darren, one of the issues here when we're talking about whether the police should be involved, there are way more federal officers now in Minneapolis than there are police. There are some estimates that there are 5 times as many federal agents as Minneapolis has police, right? Police are, and whether you like them or not, they're overstretched. And they can't actually, this is a big problem for them. If ICE is coming in and CBP is coming in and causing chaos, that it then becomes up to the MPD and the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, which is the state police there, to clean up. This becomes, there's other law enforcement things that are now not going to happen because police have to deal with this mess.
This is an unfortunate situation, but it's true. And I just kind of want to go back to what you mentioned earlier in terms of the alternative means in drilling down on immigration. We can have a lot of these people come in for interviews. And based on this interview, you can have, if a deportation is deemed necessary or appropriate, you can deport them that way. You don't have to send these armed police or ICE agents into these locations where we're speaking to people that are nonviolent, someone that merely overstayed a visa. This is not a violent person. Right. I understand it from the perspective of it being a rapist, an armed robber, or a child molester, someone to that effect, fine. You go in there appropriately and you move the person appropriately, but a lot of these people that we see, whether it's Renee Good or a host of other individuals. These are, in essence, nonviolent people that are being engaged with armed officers, that I think this can be handled at a much different level. And it really begs the question as to what is the de-escalation as it relates to trying to accomplish this mission?
Thanks to both of you. We appreciate it. Alan Orr is an immigration attorney and the founder of immigration law firm, the Orr Immigration Law Firm. Darren Porcher is a former NYPD lieutenant who's doing triple duty for us today in terms of breaking down some of these videos.